So our next speaker is Youssef, and he has helped scale Data Snipper from 1 million to 5 million ARR, chasing MVP, building teams. So he's been through it all. And now he's at ComplianceWise, and he's leading the product and engineering and shaping the future of compliance tech. But today, he's going to give us the raw and honest and very practical truths of what it takes to actually scale and on the road to unicorn as well. So let's give a hand of applause to Youssef.
Hey, how's it going? All right, thank you so much. And really appreciate you guys all coming here. I absolutely love this room. I love this space. It feels like I've just invited you all to my birthday party. There's a tab at the bar, like enjoy, have fun. Let's also give a big round of applause to MC, our MC. It feels like her parents maybe knew that this day would come and this was fated when they named her, but I don't know, maybe that joke will be made a few more times today. So, thank you guys so much for joining my session about scaling product teams from zero to unicorn. You could be anywhere right now. You could be chilling outside, having the sun. The CEO of Adyen's also talking on the main stage, but you guys have been here. So I'm going to promise you that spending your time here, you're not going to wish you were somewhere else, right? And let's jump into it. So this talk is really for you if you will be leading a team, a product team, any team in a startup that's coming up for you soon. And if you want to understand my journey of how to scale a product org. Now, I'm not going to tell you this is the right way. I'm not going to tell you this is the only way. I'm just going to tell you this is what I did, and hopefully there will be a couple of funny stories along the way. If you're looking for something that's super polished and corporate and you can learn how to do stuff at like a $7 million, billion, bajillion, gajillion dollar company, then yeah, that's not going to be here. But it is going to hopefully give you at least somewhere to chill out after lunch, maybe take a little nap, and also enjoy the presentation. But we're going to start with something a bit different. So I'd like everyone in the room to do me a big favor and just close your eyes for a second, okay? And we're going to do a little bit of a visualization exercise. So I want everyone to take like a big deep breath in and then let a big deep breath out. We've got a whole group here of people that are leading SaaS companies. Now I want you to put your hand up if you've had that moment where someone actually gave you that chance to lead a team at a SaaS company. I want you to put your hand straight up so I can see it. Yeah. And I want you to keep your hand up if, when that was happening, you had a feeling of excitement. Did you have a feeling of uncertainty? Did you maybe have a feeling of nervousness?
You can say whatever you want.
I want you to visualize that moment when someone sits in front of you and says, you're going to be the one. Now for me, it's Amsterdam, it's a sunny day, I'm in a yellow meeting room, and the founders of Data Snipper are looking at me in the eyes and they're saying, Youssef, you are going to be not just a product owner, which is what I'd been lobbying for, but you're going to be the head of product. Keep your hands up, keep your eyes closed. And in that moment, yeah, there was the excitement and the nervousness, but one thing came into my mind. Holy fucking shit, what am I going to do? And that was the moment that I decided that I was just going to go all in and try and lead the product team of Data Snipper. Now you can open your eyes, now you can put your hands down. So this is really the moment that that happens, because in reality, there's a trichotomy to these points in your life. What the world sees is, yeah, I'm gonna be a fucking great product leader. I am the man. I'm gonna be having huge jacked six-pack abs, loads of money, and it's time for me to actually go. And what the world sees is the LinkedIn post that you make on that day, like, hey, I'm here, I've arrived. I'm actually gonna be doing the thing that I set out to do. I had people messaging me from university being like, whoa, cool job title, bro. But in reality, if you really think about it, you're also going to have that moment of like, what am I actually going to do? And the holy shit. So that's what this talk is really designed to share. What is the journey that you go through? How do you actually take it step by step? Because when you're building a company, you're going to be going through these phases, the 1 million ARR, the 10 million ARR, the 20 to the 50 and beyond. And maybe this happens for you in 4 years or 5 years. Maybe this happens for you in 20 years. You never know. And so the idea is, how do you actually spend your time, your energy, your resources to go on this journey in a successful way? That's what I'm going to be sharing with you today. So let's jump right into it. The 1 to 5 million ARR part. I'm going to always share with you what my org was at each stage, and I'm just going to be honest and say I probably like underhired as we went through. But with the era of AI, and as Joris was talking to us, like maybe it's kind of like balancing out and getting to the right point. In this era, you really want to like find the product market fit. You want to stay loose. So you need to kind of be agile and move around and change things relatively quickly. What the world sees is this kind of scrappy startup and fast growth and freedom. And the theoretically correct thing that you're going to see if you go on Reforge is, yeah, start building processes, start making it repeatable. But I think that the real deal of this point is that you survive by being messy, staying loose, and you want to find your product market fit by solving a really small problem for an embarrassingly small group of people. That's the goal of how you get through this part. So how do you do this? Flexibility over the process. Do different things. Bring your engineers into customer conversations. Build the AI bot that Joris was just showing you, but then look at it every day. Don't worry about the rules. At this point, it's less about being a well-synced up orchestra and more about being like a jazz band, right? Okay. So we're going to move on because the scaling journey is relentless as well. Now we're going into the 5 to 10 million ARR point. And this is when you actually become a real product team. So in this case, what this looked like for me was hiring my first product designer, Bas Kranendonk, really nice guy, still works at DataSnipper today. And we were basically a gruesome twosome. We would go around, we would talk to customers, we set up a little research lab. We always used to start every product meeting with like a dumb hacking scene from a film, so that's something that lives on. And you have to sort of start to create that repeatability at this point. So when you're at this stage of the scaling journey, what you're going to have is that the founders really expect that whatever they delivered, like you can deliver now just as easily and just as well, because they did it, so can you. But the harsh truth is that when the org comes to you and the engineers start saying, yeah, we need to have more Scrum teams and we need to do agile product work, that's when you actually start to slow down. And agile work is not about being quick to deliver things. It's about being able to move and pivot and shift quickly. So you have to accept that, or you have to say, no, we're not going to do that. We're going to stay as a big group. And what you expect is, yeah, I'm the boss. I make all the decisions. I am the man. But the harsh truth is that actually at this point of the company, you're probably just there to take all the blame. So product will be the collective punching bag of everyone else. And that's okay. Accept it. Embrace it. I see this guy with the orange jumper. He's laughing. I see some laughs of recognition here. So hopefully that's not just me. But how do you actually get people aligned and in tune? Well, this is this vision stack that you have to deliver. So first, get your people together. Get your founders together and create a product vision. Look for the next 3 to 5 years. Think about what the world looks like and what your product looks like if you're successful. And from there, you can layer in and create a strategy. So what are the 5 or 6 problems that we're going to solve next in order to take us close to our vision? And from there, now you can actually deliver a 6-month rolling roadmap. Now, next, later, and make it a list of problems to solve, not a list of features that you're going to build. Now, a word of warning. In this stage, you also have to educate the people that you work with, the founders, your team, maybe even your engineers. Because the minute that I actually showed up with my now, next, later roadmap, this was the reaction that I got from the founders. Okay, hey, when are we going to get the real roadmap though? Because they were used to just having a list of features. In this stage, when I took the product team over, there would be things where they would just write an epic, and the epic would just say, build bank statement extraction. And it was one line, So how are you going to evolve the org? How are you going to evolve the product craft to make that better? And part of that is educating people. So don't underestimate that. And beyond that, you also want to find some useful frameworks or some ways to actually explain this and work on this concretely. So this is one that I like to use called the Stepping Stones Vision Canvas. I'm going to give you guys all of these templates also in a QR code at the end, so you always have access to them. But here, you start off with your vision statement. You build the themes around it. You look at yourself in the starting position, and then you create the stepping stones that take you there. And the secret is that these stepping stones can become a really clear, articulated product strategy that you can put on a slide, put in front of everyone, and then like Joris said, if you send out that part of we solve this for these people by doing this, they'll all sing off the same hymn sheet. This alignment is fundamental to reaching the next stage of growth. So as an example, here's what SpaceX's could look like. Survival of humans, multi-planet species, colonized solar systems, Where we are right now, no idea how to build rockets. So we need to team up with the best people, learn everything, buy rockets from Russia, boom, boom, boom. What's our supports? Elon's Energy. Okay, this slide has aged badly. I'm sorry about that. But the point remains that if you can articulate your strategy like this, then you have a really good chance that other people will remember it, that your sales team will actually sell the right thing to customers, and that your engineering team will be excited to build with you. But we're moving on up, because now we're into the 10 to 20 million ARR zone. And this is what I call scaling, nailing, failing, and whaling. So at this point in the org, I actually split the team across different Scrum teams. So we had a core PM that was really focusing on the existing product. We had an experimental PM that was doing like new fun stuff, lots of AI there. And we had someone that was kind of making the platform work, API infra stuff. And we actually got everyone a product designer because we wanted to create this product trio approach. So that was something that we implemented. We spent a lot of time working on continuous discovery habits. Now, the theory here, and people will kind of come to you, is oh, we need to do the Spotify model. The Spotify model is so cool. Yeah, let's do things in the Spotify model. Not realizing that Spotify hasn't used that model for about 10 years. So what the world sees is that you have these kind of first PMs hired, and you should give them freedom to learn. And people will say, yeah, get good people and get out of their way. But in reality, this is really where you're at danger of having the bozo explosion, which means you might hire a bunch of people that have no idea about your history, no idea about the product that you're building, no idea about your customers. So what you need to focus on is setting up the repeatability and the structure. And if you've articulated your vision and your strategy, then each person that you hire needs to be a step above. If you're scaling a product team at this point and you don't feel like you're hiring PMs that are way better at product than you, then you're actually letting the side down, because every person that comes in needs to raise the bar. And at this point, if you're at 10 million ARR, it means that you probably have like hundreds, if not thousands of customers. And so you're going to have to start saying no to pretty much everything. Survival mode is over. We don't just build things custom for people. We need to kind of start creating repeatability and creating a structure there. So your job basically becomes saying no. And one thing that I think is really important to factor in at this point is also, how do you involve the founders? How do you keep them engaged? Because they'll have loads of other things to do as well, right? So at this point in Data Snipper, one founder was off sort of setting up a US office. One of them was building an outbound BDR team. One of them was kind of, doing a big tech migration. So how do you actually keep them involved while also letting the people that you've hired, the PMs, feel like they're in charge of their part of the company as well? And so this is where I found the kind of U-shaped involvement curve. So if you plot time across the x-axis and the involvement of the founders on the y-axis, you start with having like high founder involvement, right? Get them into a roadmap alignment session, get them into a strategy offsite, get them understanding where each product, each roadmap is going. And then, over time, you sort of let the team actually do their work, talk to customers, build products, prototype with Lovable, whatever it may be. And then at the end, as it's getting closer to releasing that product, then you kind of come back and you say, okay, now we're going to do a bug bash together. Now we're going to launch this feature together. Now we're going to go to the first customers and see how this actually works. And this is something that, it's really simple to put it on a slide. I can tell you 2 years of my life absolutely sucked shit because I didn't understand this. So maybe it's obvious for everyone here, but just in case it's not, this is a great way to make sure that you keep the right people involved. And it doesn't need to be founders. It could also be your manager as a PM, or maybe, someone that's a CPO in your team, These things can kind of transcend the startup world. And yeah, one last thing to mention at this point, if you start growing your org, like being a manager just kind of sucks sometimes. Like that's the whaling part of this, right? People will come up to you, people will have all their problems, and sometimes it's going to be a bit annoying. One example of this, so I had a PM that was basically once we got a new CEO, and it was like, yeah, I'm going to go have lunch with the new CEO. And he went, and he kind of sort of was super excited for this lunch. And I was like, okay, what are you going to talk? Yeah, this product that I'm building. And back then, it was like 2022, so it was all the rage to like put a chatbot in your product. And he was building a chatbot. And he was like, okay, I'm going to talk to the CEO. I'm really going to share this thing. And then he went into this lunch meeting, and he just like talked shit about his own product to the CEO. And then afterwards, she came out, and she was like, who is this guy? Like, why is he here? And he came back to me and he was like, that was the worst meeting I've ever had. I don't know what happened. But then you just have to deal with these problems. So accept that, and accept that your job now is to kind of help other people to get better. You should be spending more of your time hiring and getting people to the next level, creating a skills assessment framework and leveling them up. But we're going to keep moving because, of course, the pace of startup growth, as we've said, is relentless. Let's go into the 20 to 50 million ARR. Now, this is a part where I think loads of people that are here, maybe you've experienced this, maybe you're past it. I call it designing, aligning, and other people shining. At this point, I actually was able to create like structured hierarchy. So I had group PM above the PMs, I had a design lead above the designers, and actually I invested now in product ops. So we had a group of people that were there to help other people do their work better, right? Create structures, create processes. We actually also brought on a data analyst at this point. For me, that was something that was new because in B2B product, yeah, a lot of the time you're talking to your customers or you're doing things qualitatively. But with the data team, we actually started to record sessions and do fun things like that. This is really like one of the most, for me, like one of the parts of the scaling journey that I found like super tough. You know, on the one side, like everyone sees that you're putting up big numbers, you know, and on a personal level, like loads of people were reaching out to me and saying, hey, like this is going well and look at you, you're doing great, like, you know, putting up some big numbers. And the theoretically correct thing is, okay, now it's time to like get the team together, Power Rangers, go. But in reality, like people started to get really demotivated. I was also probably micromanaging a lot. And this is the part of the journey where I genuinely would go home like every day, sit on my couch, have a panic attack, worry that I wasn't good enough, and like feel really deep imposter syndrome. And yeah, what got me out of that was just learning that it wasn't just on me to actually build this, that I could rely on other people, that I could have a team, and that I could empower them. If I started every meeting with asking a question instead of trying to tell people why they were wrong, then that was where I actually started to unlock growth. That's where I started to see people sort of live up to my expectations instead of falling down to where I thought they would be. And so for me, this always has like a bittersweet moment because here you stop building yourself. You're not actually going into the customer conversations as much. You're not sitting with the engineers yourself as much. But the vision is like the oxygen. So your job is to get people pulling in the right direction here. Get the ducks in a row, protect the builder spirit, and make sure people have a feeling like they can create stuff in your organization. That's how to get through this part. And then this is really where my scaling journey sort of starts to peter out. So by this point, I got promoted to the VP product, you know, lots of fun fanfare. I was nominated for the Forbes 30 Under 30 list. I didn't get it, but I mean, it was kind of cool to be nominated, right? That's what people say. And yeah, we kind of scaled the team a lot more. We started having multiple group PMs, multiple leads on the design side. And yeah, we were really cooking. We were moving with gas. So at this point, you know, the thing that I really learned is that you need to start thinking of yourself as more of like a president of a mini company, right? And I hate that phrase of like product is the CEO of product. Like I think that's bullshit. But you should feel like, okay, what I'm here to do is to architect a culture so that systems that scale beyond me can be built. You need to also start working with the board, right? That's why you're dancing with the devil here, because you're actually starting to kind of interact with people that are maybe very experienced investors. Do they trust you? Do they feel like you're credible? What are you doing to earn that trust? How are you bringing the team and the company along with you in terms of what you're doing? If you're not writing a newsletter on a monthly or a weekly basis for your whole org at this point, then you're probably not going to be having enough impact and getting people on the same page. But also, at the same time, you know, we try to do things to keep things fun, right? Have hackathons, have bug bash sessions, keep the fun in the actual org. And the bit about this that I think no one really tells you, and maybe to kind of wrap up and conclude, is that when you're trying to do something difficult, and I genuinely do think that this was really difficult. If I show that like graph again, you know, 2% of companies that start get beyond the 2 million ARR mark. So to get up to that 50 or that 100 mark, that's really tough. And when you're trying to do something like that, a third of the time it feels fucking awesome. And a third of the time it feels like, meh. But a third of the time, it's also just going to feel like incredibly shitty. So hang on for those moments. Like believe in yourself, know that what you're doing is correct, and go back to that feeling of excitement and energy instead of constantly having that thing that you're not good enough. Because I can tell you, if you don't feel that imposter syndrome, there's about 7% of the population that they call like a dark triad. They don't have that. Maybe a few more because we're in the Netherlands. No, I'm joking. The point is, if you don't feel that, then yeah, that's really, really unlikely. So please trust yourself and remember that you have a lot to offer. The last thing I want to say is a phrase that my friend Andre told me when he was going through his PhD, and that is, when you are swimming neck deep in shit, don't look down. So if you're on this scaling journey, keep your eyes up, keep looking forward, focus on your vision, and this is the real stages. 1 to 5 million ARR, survive, jazz, not orchestra. 5 to 10 million, start to build the structure, but fight the process trap. 10 to 20 million, organize your team, manage founder expectations, say no constantly. 20 to 50 million, align and focus on letting other people shine. And 50 million plus, protect the building spirit and keep the fun. I want to say a big thank you to the SaaSiest guys, to everyone for having me here. First off, you guys get templates. So if you want some of my product vision templates, if you want to understand how I do this, how I communicate it, feel free to scan this QR code and you'll be taken to a Google Drive link, which has all of my best shit that I've created over 5 or 6 years of doing this. You get a template, and you get a template, and you get a template. Okay. And then the last thing to mention is I am so happy to connect with anyone, because none of the stuff that I did here, I learned all on my own. Loads of people helped me out, and there's no way that I'll ever be able to repay them. So the only way that I can repay them is by helping someone else out. Feel free to jump on my LinkedIn. I make a newsletter series called This Week I Vibe Coded, where I vibe code a different app every week. So there's definitely something fun there to learn from, or at least to laugh at. And I also do product office hours, so you can book in. We can chat about your product team for 30 minutes, and you never know, maybe something comes out of it. And that's it for me. Thanks very much. Back to MC.